Right. Hello, this is Tristinio here. This video is the Survivor Game Changers Season 34, Episodes 1 to 4 recap, specifically for viewers in the UK. And we don't have a lot of reality TV over here, a lot of it's like crap, like Geordie Shore and stuff, but occasionally you get some good things like The Apprentice. We did have a Survivor over here back in 2000, it flopped, it was terrible. So, the American version is what I'm going to be talking about, and it's a new one which involves a lot of the best players who changed the game over the last 34 seasons. They come back, and the whole premise of the game is strangers stranded on an island. They have to vote each other off every 3 days, over 39 days, to win $1 million. So, the kind of players that we get back are we've got a two-time winner in Sandra, the only two-time winner, which is pretty fucking crazy. Get Tony, who's the most entertaining winner, I'd say. Kegayan, season 28. The guy who found idols and stuff, betrayed his own alliance, great TV. You get JT, who played the first perfect game in Token or Token Jeans, whatever it is. Uh, yeah, he's a winner as well. Then you have a few bigger players like Malcolm, Sari, Ozzy, loads of fan favourites. And this is what makes it a great season, because you have all these fan favourites, and then you have a few smaller players playing together, trying to vote each other out. And it's all coming together. I'm on episode 4 at the moment, which was released last night. First two episodes were in the 2 hour premiere, where two of the players got booted. Then there was a third episode last week, which was decent. But last night's episode, that's what I really want to get my teeth into. That was a brilliant episode. So right, the first players we have are two tribes of 10, because it's a 20-player season this time. You got on the first tribe, you have Sandra, Tony, Jeff Arner from season 2, and then from Cambodia season 31. You've got Malcolm, who's a fan favourite. Who else was there? Makeda, one of the unknown players. The other players don't know because the season was only filmed 2 weeks before the game started. And you've got Aubrey, who was a runner-up of the season 32. I'm trying to remember more now. You have Sierra from Blood vs. Water in Cambodia. You've got Caleb, who was medically evacuated in season 32, where he nearly died. So you've got all these game players. On the other tribe, you've got Ozzy, a fan favourite, the guy who was able to fish, climb trees, do whatever. He can do it. Sari, a strategic mastermind, could have won any of the 3 seasons. Very close twice. You have JT, the winner from Token Jeans. Zeke, who's a great strategist. Ty, a fan favourite, funny Asian Buddhist man. He's a great player. Sarah from Cagayan, she could have won it because she saw Tony as a threat, but she got voted out in quite a funny way. One of her best tribals ever, actually. You've got Debbie, got Brad Culpepper. You have Andrea, who's a good player as well, was very strategic. So these two tribes, they battle it out over immunity challenges, and the team that wins the challenge wins immunity, and the team that doesn't goes to tribal council, where they have to vote out the first player of the tribe. So the episode 1, let's get to, and you have the Sierra boot episode, where the players get to the beach. They basically have to build a shelter and stuff like that. Kind of source their own food, make alliances, talk to other people, and all that, etc. And the first real thing that happens is they reach the beach, and Tony straight away goes into Tony mode from Cagayan. He goes, yeah, I have to find the idol. He runs off, and he thinks everyone else is going to chase him. It's a funny moment. It's just Tony being a character, which is what he won his last season. But there's not really much paranoia from everyone else because they know what Tony's about, so they don't expect him to be any different. There's no real alliances formed straight away, which is good. It's always good to see it open. The Mana tribe, which is it's actually my favourite tribe because it's the underdog, because they're the ones that lose all the challenges straight away. So there's a kind of main alliance formed where Tony and Sandra try and protect each other, and they bring in Aubrey and a few of the bigger players, who the smaller players will try and target later on when they get to emerge, which is when the tribes all come together. There's no tribes anymore, and it's an individual game from there on. But between the beginning of the game and the merge, the game's played as tribes. So it kind of makes your alliance, get your numbers for the merge, and after that you can go to the end with whoever you want and play it however you can. But the whole aim of the first 18 or so days is to get your numbers and keep your tribe strong, so you can go into a merge, take out the other tribe, or however you want to play it. So in the first episode, Marla loses the immunity challenge, and Sierra, before the immunity challenge, there's a massive talking to at the world. So everyone's talking about, like, not strategy and stuff, just getting to know each other. Tony and Caleb are gone. They've kind of formed an alliance off the bat, and the rest of the players are talking about it. And Sierra brings up that Tony could be the first player to go as a paranoid target and a former winner, or Caleb as a right hand man, which kind of gets everyone's backs up because everyone's thinking, oh, Tony, he's just been himself, but he's going to be a threat. So Sierra's kind of rubbing people the wrong way. From what I've seen in her interview since, that's the only comment she actually made. Everyone was talking about Tony, but because she brought up Caleb, that's what she thinks made everyone think that Caleb, who's strong in challenges, a team player, he makes fire on the first day, or the first episode. They're thinking, why is she targeting Caleb? And they turn the target around to Sierra. So they lose the first challenge. It's a pretty close challenge. I think it's the one where JT and Malcolm are tossing rings to try and do whatever. But they lose it, go to Tribal Council, and it's a straight 9-1 unanimous, where Sierra gets booted for being a strategic threat, I'd say. And also because it's just kind of, somebody's got to go first, and you don't want it to be yourself, because that's quite embarrassing when millions of people view it back on TV. So Sierra gets booted. Other things that happen in the first episode are, you kind of see Ozzy and Cirie on the other tribe, because Cirie booted Ozzy out of one of their seasons. She got an alliance together and took Ozzy out. Ozzy's got a grudge against it since, even though it's been like 8 years since, but Ozzy just wants Cirie out because he's a massive strategic threat. There's not really too much from the other tribe on it, because the focus is on the tribe that loses. When the team loses the challenge, the focus on the from the cameras will be on the tribe that loses, because that's where all the strategy is going to come in. They're the tribe that's going to be in focus for Tribal Council, which is where player gets their torch snuffed. They have their torch, it's basically a stick with fire on it. It gets snuffed and they're out of the game. So Sierra's out of the game from episode 1. It's a good premiere. It's solid. There's not really too much more to it. But episode 2 is where it gets good, because it's the second part of the premiere, and a child comes back from Tribal Council, and Tony tries to get an alliance together with Sandra, Aubrey, Caleb, who's a physical challenge threat. Challenges are basically these things where you have to win it, and you get like either a reward or immunity. If you win it, you can't get voted out, which is why everyone wants to win it. So you want to guarantee yourself 3 more days between each Tribal Council and make sure that you can get to the end. So Tony tries to get an alliance together to make people vote the same way. So there's a numbers majority. In a tribe of 9, which is where they are now, Tony needs to get 5 people together to get the majority so that they can't be voted out and they can vote anybody else out. And he gets the main kind of strategic players and all the threats that will be targeted after the merge. He gets them together, which seems like a good plan, but then he kind of screws it up a little bit, because before the immunity challenge, he's building a spy bunker, which is just, it's funny, it's just what he does. He builds a spy bunker at night, and he overhears a conversation between Troyzen and Sandra, who are talking about possible players that they could get rid of, and he interprets it as them trying to vote Tony out, or them turning the vote around to get Tony out. Tony flips. He wasn't in any danger before that, but he blows up at Sandra and Troyzen for plotting against him and trying to get him out of the game. They both deny it, but Tony's kind of dug his grave, and Sandra's thinking, well, I don't want to trust this guy, he's paranoid, and he's already thinking that I'm trying to vote out my own alliance, which is probably not what happened, it's just what the edit showed. So they lose the immunity challenge, it's a blowout. The other team, they're so far ahead that there's no point in them trying to catch them. Sandra gets an alliance together of 6 or 7 players, and she tells Tony that the vote's going to be towards Aubrey, and so she sets out an insurance policy of Tony votes Aubrey in case there's an idol. Sandra will vote Aubrey as well. Aubrey will go home if Tony has an idol, which Tony, as a player in his last season, he had loads of idols. If he plays an idol, Sandra won't go home. She's saving herself. She's setting up somebody else. But everyone else is voting against Tony, who's the 2-time winner and a great character. And it's a shame to see Tony go, but he did fight his corner. He tried to switch the tribe and some of his former allies back towards Sandra, because he thinks Sandra needs to go as a 2-time winner. You can't give her a third million because that would be crazy. So Tiny gets voted out. Um, yeah, and yeah, episode 3 is the tribe switch, which is the biggest part of the game so far. So the tribes get switched from two tribes of a tribe of 8 and a tribe of 10, so you have 18, to three tribes of 6 players. There's an extra tribe coming into play here. So you obviously have some. There's a buff switch, a buff draw, so they get given a plate with all the buffs, and they go onto the mat with the buff they pick. There's 3 tribes they can pick. In one tribe, there's a 5-to-1 split. Another tribe, there's a 5-to-1 split from the old Mana tribe and the old Nuku tribe, where Troyzan's at the bottom of one of them, and JT from the Nuku tribe is at the bottom of the old Mana tribe now. And there's a third tribe which comes together of some of the kind of lesser players, or the ones that people will be happy to see go. So it's got like Brad, Debbie, Sierra, who shouldn't really have been on the season anyway, and Caleb. And Caleb and Haley are at the bottom because they've switched from a tribe of 4-to-2 split, and the other 4 can just kind of vote out the other 2, and there's no repercussions there. So there's a lot happens in the episode. The tribes get to know each other and stuff. Establishes like the pecking order of the people at the bottom will just get voted out easily, so the other people can go to the merge. The main things that happen here is Caleb's in the minority. He has a friendship with Ty from their previous season when they played together, and Ty's conflicted because he wants to work with Caleb, but the majority alliance with Brad, Sierra, Debbie, and Ty, they all want Caleb out because he's a physical threat later. He could win the challenges, and he has connections on the other side, and they want to keep their tribe strong. So in the immunity challenge, it's an immunity/reward. Troyzan finds an idol, which will save him later potentially, because he's at the bottom and he'll be the first vote out of his new tribe. Troyzan finds the idol, he can idol somebody else out. It's really good. He finds the idol in the middle of the challenge, which takes some balls, I'll tell you that. There's also the goat thing on the other tribe with Sandra and JT, where they try and kill a baby goat. Sandra wants to kill it because she needs food. They have to source their own food out there as well, which is great. They are actually having to survive in these elements, make their own fire. They're not giving any help by the production team, which is great because it's the kind of show I'd like to go on, just to be out there and survive in the wild would be brilliant. But yeah, and then JT ditches his tribe out to sea. He sets them out to sea so he can try and find the idol at camp. So he looks for everyone's bags at camp. Doesn't find it, but the rest of the tribe knows what's up, and they think it's a good strategy from JT because they know that they're going to vote him out first. But JT's trying to save himself, use the idol on himself, so any votes that are cast for him will be negated, they won't count, and the person with the next number of votes will go home. So if JT finds the idol, he'll be safe for the next vote or whenever he goes to tribal. In the immunity challenge, the Nuku tribe I think loses, and it's a 5-to-1 vote. Caleb's voted out. Not really too much happens there. It's kind of a straightforward switch. Nothing too major. Yeah, it gets to the 4th episode. It's the best one so far. I only aired last night and I loved it. There's a reward challenge. It doesn't really impact the season too much. Vaughn kind of screws it up for his tribe, and Andrea wins it for her tribe. And there's the immunity challenge. Oh no, sorry, Troyzan screws up the reward challenge. Vaughn screws up the immunity challenge, where his tribe had the lead. The Nuku tribe had the lead. And the host, Jeff Probst, great host by the way, he says that there's a twist in this challenge. So usually one tribe will go to tribal council when they lose and vote out a player. The first time in the Survivor history for 34 seasons, the 2 tribes that don't win immunity will go to tribal council, and together, all 12 of them, or 11 of them, will vote out one person. So it can be from either tribe, but the 2 tribes will want to stick together in this case. You've got a tribe of 6 and a tribe of 5 that will be voting one way each. The 6 will vote for one and the 5 will vote for another, from one person from each of the different tribes. So the 6 have the numbers advantage. All they got to do is vote out one of the other 5 and they're good. They don't lose a number. And the 5, they get lucky because Ty, who's a fan favourite, he finds an idol, which means that if he plays it on anybody from his tribe, they can negate the votes. The votes won't count towards that person because the idol's it's a form of immunity just for one round. He finds it, and he tells the rest of his tribe, and they plan to get either Sandra out or Malcolm because he's a physical threat who can play the game later. He's a massive fan favourite. He's a really good player, great narrator of the game. His confessionals are great. Confessionals are just where the camera just takes the person's side and they'll talk about the game. They'll be witty, they'll be funny, they'll narrate the game, and that's a good part of the game as well. On the other tribe, they plan to go the majority of sixth. They plan to go for Sierra because she's a kind of physical threat as well, but also because she's the strongest woman out there on that tribe. Or they want to get Ty out because they think he'll be a threat later in the game, or he might have an idol. So they plan through the scenarios of if there's an idol played, who should they go after instead? And they get to tribal, and it's a brilliant tribal. There's so many. It's what they call a live tribal. So they talk about the game. They get asked the questions about the game by the host Jeff Probst, who does the tribal councils. And before they got to vote, JT gets out of his seat. He was in the old Nuku Nuku tribe, and he goes to his old Nuku teammates on the Mana tribe because they got switched. So he was with Brad, Debbie, Ty, etc. before the switch, and he's at the bottom now. So he goes over to talk to Brad and whispers in his ear about, well, vote for Malcolm because the votes are going to be for Sierra, which he shouldn't do because obviously he's betraying his current tribe. But he wants to keep his new tribe strong, like his old tribe strong. So because he's at the bottom and he might have an alliance with some of the older players, where he'll vote the same way later on in the game. So Brad hears that, and he tells the rest of his old tribe that the vote should be switched to Malcolm. But obviously, we're not shown that. They keep it suspenseful, so they don't tell us who's voted out until the votes are read, and that person walks up, gets their torch snuffed, and leaves the game. But what makes this tribal great is all the whispering. So players will usually get their plans in place before they go to tribal, which is great. But live tribals are a recent thing where people talk and whisper and change their strategies to each other in the middle of the tribal council. Jeff Probst is stunned, the audience is stunned because 11 people whispering about changing their votes and stuff. So they go up and vote because they have their plans. They keep saying, "I'll stick to the plan," or change to the other person we discussed or whatever. So they go up and vote, and after that, Jeff Probst says, if anybody has an immunity idol, now would be the time to play it. Ty stands up and he says, I have the idol. He goes, who should I play it on for my tribe? And Brad points to Sierra because JT told him that the votes will be towards Sierra. Ty plays the idol on Sierra. So Probst reads the votes. 6 of Sierra's votes are negated, which means that any of the protection that the Mana tribe had for their numbers advantage, that's gone. All 5 of them are sitting ducks, so any one of them can go home, depending on who the Nuku tribe chose. And it happens that it's really suspenseful. It's the first vote gets read, and you're thinking, oh, who are they going to go after? It could be anybody. The first vote's read for Malcolm, and his reaction is quite sad because he's a guy who loves the game. He's done it 3 times. He's devoted his life to playing this game and that kind of thing. He loves it, and he gets 3 votes. He gets voted out. It's really sad because Malcolm's a fan favourite. I know the subreddit for Survivor loves him. I really liked him on Philippines. I thought he was fantastic. It's a shame that he had to go out pre-merge, but yeah, Malcolm goes, and he looks really angry at JT. JT's crying because he's lost his ally, but Malcolm's annoyed that JT's told Brad to change the vote. Without that, Malcolm would be fine. Malcolm would be going home, but he's a physical threat, and he needs to go before the individual portion of the game starts. So it's a real shame to see Malcolm go, and to see Tony go. Actually, any of the 4, because they're all 4 of the bigger characters of the season, and it's I don't really want to see the smaller players slide through, but if they step up and they deliver a great season, they actually try and play the game this time instead of just flying under the radar. I'd really like that. I'd like to see 20 characters just boom, 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 go for the game, go for the $1 million, try and outplay each other, try and vote each other off, and just loads of schemes and stuff. But this is what makes Survivor such a great show. It's why it's been on for 17 years, for 34 seasons. I don't think there's any other show that's been going for 34 seasons, especially a reality show. And I might do another video for why Survivor should be back in the UK, or why people in the UK should watch Survivor, because it's very much a show worth watching. And if not, go check it out.